I'm Christine. Welcome to the Recovering Perfectionist Podcast, where I empower you to develop sustainable habits, challenge society, and take messy action. It's time to align with the universe for the full human experience and redefine what it really means to be successful.
It's too good, the secret is out, and wow.
Welcome to the Recovering Perfectionist Podcast. We are partnering this season with Dance Wellness Community, which is a community that I created to help provide tools, resources, and expert level practitioners for our incredible ballroom dance community and high athletics. And I am here with a legend of our industry right now, one of our incredible practitioners, Mr. Michael Reeves. Thank you so much, Michael, for being here.
Oh, it's a pleasure. I'm really looking forward to this because I love you and I love your concept. And when you asked me to be a part of this wellness group, I felt like it was not only a privilege, but it's something I can contribute. So thank you very much.
Oh my gosh, it's such an honor. We have worked together in the past on a couple of projects. We've had the time of our lives laughing, enjoying, creating wonderful things. And you were literally, when I thought of this, you were one of the first people that came to mind. And I'm honored to have you here. And you guys will understand that when you hear what this man has to say, because his expertise in this field and specifically in what he does is top tier. So let's get into it, Michael. Let's do a quick rapid fire here. What is it specifically that you specialize in?
What I do is I consult for the dance business. And basically what I'm doing is this. In the last 10 to 20 years, we decided to combine schools to make them more successful. So what I'm doing is I'm bringing in hybrid schools. So I go to competitive schools, which need my help because they don't know how to bring social business into their school, which they need in order for them to have a cash flow and to be more successful. So what I do is I go to schools and I talk about the social business. Then I train their teachers on how to teach that, because most of those teachers are competitive teachers and they're very highly acclaimed, but they don't know how to break things down to a beginner from this country that just wants to get out and socialize and do the cha-cha and the swing and stuff. So I do interrelation dance with them, get them involved. And then I start developing the school in a social gathering. Like I start social parties. I do social group classes, beginner, intermediate. I train the staff how to work with that. And I was just talking to you. I've just been at this school for 4 months in Atlanta, and it was the same concept. And the first party, we had under 10 people. And last Saturday, our social business for our party grew to over 60. Wow. So this is very impressive. And I'm very, very happy with the result. So what I'm doing is I'm bridging the competitions students with the social students, which brings a bigger volume to the school. Not only financially, but they start working together as a unit also. So if we have showcases, that all of them are contributing to that. And it makes it such a great environment because the social dancers want to be social dancers, which is fine, but they love looking at the other competitive side as well. They get excited.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and the competitive side works with me by saying, I started out just like you. I never knew I was going to compete, and now I am. So welcome. And they're basically your welcome people because they've been here longer. So that's what I'm doing.
So not to age you, but how long have you been doing this?
I've been consulting now probably 15 years. And I had a school that I operated in Silicon Valley, and we just sold that school, and it was there for 9 years. And after that, I have more time. I was operating the school, plus I was consulting. So doing Zoom meetings during COVID, et cetera. And I had a lot of clients in Los Angeles. Being from San Francisco, I could fly down there. So there are a lot of competitive schools in LA that need this kind of training. Fortunately, I was close enough that I could go down there and do a couple of days and come back, or do Zoom meetings. But that's how it started. And then I started growing into Louisville and Washington, D.C. Now I have a new consulting school. Wow. And so it just expanded by word of mouth. And
and these are virtual, like, because you're doing some of this virtually. So your clientele is dance studios, dance schools, as you say, all over the nation.
Yeah. And sometimes I visit it. Well, in LA, I visited all the schools. I think there were 7. But right now I'm doing Zoom meetings. Yeah, because I'm operating the school here I have a 12-month contract. And so my time is valuable. So I'm trying to do both, which I love, because in the mornings I can do this kind of meeting. And then every week we have another meeting, and then we go through everything from hiring staff, training staff, motivation. How do you take a competitive dancer and turn them into a social teacher? And how do we bridge that together where everyone is working as a group in your school? It's really wonderful my background's education also. That's what I went to college for. So it's wonderful that I'm teaching, because I think that's my favorite thing.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I want to explain to people a little bit about this side of the business, because really another reason why I created the dance wellness community is because in our industry, a lot of the times it's so survival mode, hustle culture, and it's very much like become a champion or don't even try. And it just showcases that a lot of the times it's really just about one way to win. When I really believe that there are so many ways to win in this industry. You could be, a judge, you can own a competition, you could be a top pro-am student, you could be a top pro student, professional, excuse me. You could own a dance studio and cultivate community. You could be great at social. There's so many different ways. There's vendors, there's everything. So I want to explain to people why what you do is so important, because the competitions would not run without dance schools to train professionals, training amateurs to compete. And when a school is not doing well, there's thousands and thousands and thousands of schools in our dance industry. We have 3 different categories. We have Fred Astaire, which is a franchise. We have Arthur Murray, which is another franchise. And then we have independent schools. And it is, especially during COVID, that was, one of the hardest things to keep going. A lot of schools closed down, but a lot of them closed because of financial hardship, or like you said, they don't have a social aspect to what they do. They're just top level dancers, usually champion level, that say, I want to open a studio, I want to have a place to practice myself. And they don't understand all of these group classes and private lessons and all of the community that goes along with it in order to create this sustainable place to be. So can you just talk a little bit on how important that is and why what you do?
I will tell you an example. The reason I'm here in Atlanta is because this couple, who are wonderful, probably top 12 standard competitive couples in Blackpool. And I would see them at the Emerald Ball because I do seminars there for Wayne in the mornings. And they would come to my seminars. And I said to them, well, what are you doing when you're here? And what is your school doing? And they said, well, we have to close it down. And I said, you've closed the school down to come here. I get that because you have students you brought. However, let me ask you an important question. Because you're not there for 4 days, does your landlord give you any
kick back, right? Like prorated.
Are they not charging you for those 4 days because you're not open? I said, you need a business that is sustainable where you're open, regardless if you're there or not, for 6 to 7 days a week. And then you don't have to worry about finances because it's paying itself. If you have social dances on the weekend, all you need to do is hire a girl at the front desk, a woman at the front desk, and a DJ, and it just runs itself if you have presented it properly.
Right.
And say, for instance, if you're charging $20, so you're charging $20, you can build one party up to 100 people. So now you pay the DJ, now you pay and everything else is profit. So while this couple realized that they were making money at the Emerald Ball because of 3 or 4 students that they brought, they were also losing money at their school because it was closed and there was no revenue coming in. So after seeing them like 3 years ago, they called me and said, can you come and just see our school and see what we need? And that's how I got here. I did a 12-month contract with them, which I don't normally do, but I love this couple. They're so honest and ethical and nice to me that I decided to help them for 1 year. So that's what I see is happening with the competition world. You know, they're working very hard. Also, something you brought up is that what do they do after they compete? I mean, a male can only do this so often when they're 45 or 50 years old. Their bodies are now conditioning to have all these issues. And so what do? So they can do exactly what you said. They can coach, they can be an adjudicator, they can have a school that they run, but basically they're not able to do what they were doing in their 20s and 30s, and they want to stay in the business, and they should because they're very good at it, but they need another option in order to stay in it. And I think that's where I'm bridging the gap too, giving them the opportunity to develop a social school where they can run that for the next 20 years.
Amazing. Yeah. And you're training, what I think is so great is that you're doing, because my dad owned a dance studio. We come from Kansas City. So my dad owned a dance studio in Kansas City. And when I was like 21, I was already helping him do management, and I was sales training. I was training our teachers on how to sell because I learned how to sell directly from him, and he's a beast in selling. And so like basically it was just us selling. So I actually created, I was going to college doing some business courses, and one of my projects was to create some kind of a training course. And so I created a sales training program I was like, well, I'll use it for our business, 2 for 1, right? And it was so great because I was able to train our teachers who were like, some of them were shy, some of them didn't want to sell, but I was able to have some sort of a system and protocol of how I actually do sales. Because as you know, Michael, because you're a great salesperson as well, sales is really just about your personality and about just showing people how much you appreciate them, but also showing them the value in what they're buying, believing in your product essentially.
Totally.
And you don't have to, it doesn't have to come off car salesman salesy. And that's why I think a lot of people, when they hear sales, when they hear sales, they think of that. And it's like, no, that's not it at all. But it's hard to explain to people, at least it was for me at the beginning, how I do what I do, because I was like, well, I don't know. I feel it out based on who's sitting in front of me. Right.
Yeah.
But I had to eventually come up with some sort of a system of like, I always hit these bullet points of things that I do. And so I know that it's very important for you to train the teachers, hire teachers and things like that, because in this industry, we have a lot of turnover rate with teachers as well. So talk a little bit about that.
Well, I think that I have a little bragging rights, I guess. The last school that we sold 2 years ago, our private lesson revenue at the end of that year was $650,000 just for private lessons. And that didn't include the group classes. It didn't include, because we do everything a la carte, didn't include the parties. And I also developed trips where I take, what you do, I take.
We love the trips.
I love the trips. It gave this little kid from Missouri an opportunity to travel the world, which I'm still blessed about.
Cool. So cool.
Sales to me is creating something and a desire for someone to want to come here and continue and participate. So we all have showcases, we all have team matches, we all have holiday parties. A lot of us have teacher contests at the end of the year around Christmas. But to me, if I do everything right and the teacher does everything right on the dance floor, then there's no use to me having to feel I have to pressure anyone into.
Right. They just want to do it.
Right. Yeah, and I'm up front. And I'm not afraid to say, you have 2 more lessons. This is what we're offering next. Take it home and think about it. Because I know I have that student 2 more times. And I don't want someone to say, well, let me think about it on their last lesson.
Right. You'll never see them again.
50-50 chance.
50-50
so
chance. Yeah.
I always make sure that
That's
the
smart.
students are aware of everything, that they know the cost, that they know the value, that they know what this is for.
Yes.
That if it's for a showcase, or if it's this, or it's a bronze program. And I never bring students in this office. I don't feel comfortable because like what you were saying about car salesmen. I bring teachers in here to train, and I do meetings in here. But anything that I have to talk to a student about in the ballroom, I'm not embarrassed about. I don't feel like what I'm saying everyone can hear. You know what I mean? Because I feel that that's comfortable for me, and it is for them. And as soon as you bring someone in office and you sit there, you're in that selling zone.
That's right.
They start feeling a little more uncomfortable.
Yeah, they're in the hot seat. Nobody likes to be in the hot seat.
Intimidation.
Right.
But out there on the floor, when I'm sitting and talking about a woman's pair of shoes, I can bring this stuff up so easily.
Yeah. Right.
And it just seems to work for me, because
I
started out with one of the franchise schools you're talking about. And it was all about sales, and it was all about how many lessons. And one thing about the independent schools, which I really do love, is they're not all about adding lesson on the lesson on the lesson until a student has 200 lessons and they're not even sure what they're used for. I do a package of 10, 25, and 50. And the 50 package, they have to come twice a week. So they're always renewing it, but I don't have a lot of liability by doing that.
Right.
And I don't feel I have to have only 4 or 5 students that I have to continuously sell.
I was going to say, you have a lot of repeat clientele, but also it's easy to get new clientele with that as well.
They don't feel the pressure, because they're only buying what they can afford, and they know that there's an end result to it, that they can finish it in 6 months, that they're not looking at 4 years before they can complete 200 lessons. Seriously. And possibility is they might not. So I'm cutting down the liability, I'm cutting down refunds, and that's another thing. And I'm cutting down pressure that they might feel, because I'm very happy to say there's very few people in this business that would say Michael is a high pressure salesman.
Agree. Totally agree. You have such a naturalness about you. Like you said, I do notice that now, that you don't bring anyone into an office. It's just out in the open, and it's just like,
well, you see me. Yeah, you see me. I just walk the room. I just walk around saying hello to everyone.
That's right. You're very social. You create a great energy in the space. And I think that's the thing, is that energy has to start from the top, whether it's you, the manager, training the organizer or the owners of the studio to create this cohesiveness, down to the teachers, down to the front desk girls, down to everything. But how important, I think, is that to create that kind of appreciation, which is why, because I said we have a lot of turnover rate in this business, and it's because a lot of owners of these studios don't know how to be owners. They don't know how to be business owners, and they don't know how to be leaders in this space. And there ends up being a lot of conflict between owners and teachers and things like that. How do you cut that down as well?
Well, you keep your staff by making them feel a part of your school. Yeah, they're probably the most important part of your school, because they're bringing the biggest amount of revenue in. So I treat teachers like I would my family. I take them to dinner every 2 or 3 months. We have holiday parties. They come to my house for a little cocktail, this, that. I make sure that they want to stay, that they feel a part
appreciated.
of the school and they're appreciated. And I give them the time that they need. If they have questions, if they want to meet with me after work, whatever, I feel that time is so valuable to them that I will take something else I'm doing and put it to the side and make sure. That I was just talking to the owner last night. We had dinner and I said, we need to implement, because we just hired 2 new teachers Monday. We need to engage and implement a society in our school where it becomes a family. And when we do that, the teachers will stay with us, because what happens is they don't want to go and become independent, because now they're in charge of what? Booking all their lessons, figuring out what to do if they want to take them to a competition or a trip. There's a lot of stuff we do for them.
Right. They have skin in the game.
Yeah, and they're well worth giving us a percentage of the lesson in order to take care of them. We're actually their manager, their publicist, their
agent. Yes, I love that.
Agent. We advertise for them. We book their lessons for them. We introduce the students to them. And I think it's hard for them to leave if they've been well taken care of. If you see 2 teachers, 3 teachers that go down the street, they have no rapport with the owners, and they feel very comfortable doing it. And I know
they're not afraid to talk to them if there's a problem. Yeah.
Oh, exactly. You become a dance family. And then let's say, for instance, their teacher leaves. Their teacher decides to leave. They come to me and say, first, I don't want to leave here. Is there someone else that can teach me? Because even though I love my teacher, I don't know that atmosphere there where they're going. And I would much rather stay with you, Michael. And I saved so many students in the last 40 years. This is the 13th school I've operated. And I just thought the other day, I've owned 7 of them. And I've operated my 13th school, and I'm still doing it, and I'm still loving it. But I've learned from the experience too. I've lost.
Oh, for sure.
Then I learned how to handle them. I felt horrible when some of them left, because I did handle them correctly, but they left anyway. So you have that. So you can't be 100%, but by golly, you can be 60 to 70%. And
at least, definitely.
At least I'm giving it a low ball. But that to me is the whole key to this business, is how we engage with people, with the staff, how we bring people in.
Honestly, I grew up so as I said, my dad's studio, so it was very family oriented. And we had clients that danced with my dad that would come to our Thanksgiving dinners because they were like my grandparents. Absolutely. We would, like you said, organize outings to dinners, pick them up in a limo, do all the things. And then we had our swing teams, which were like my brothers and sisters, essentially. We would all, on the weekends practice and do swing nights and stuff like that. It's the social parties you're talking about. So when I went and started working, I moved out of Kansas and I worked at a studio in California or Las Vegas. I didn't know that wasn't how a studio operated. So I got complete culture shock and realized there were a bunch of independents running around with all their opinions and all of their, sass. And there was nobody leading the troops here because everybody was doing their own thing. And that's, again, there's different formats to how a studio runs. You can have in-house teachers, you can have independents, but even the in-house teachers, a lot of those studios, there was no weekly teacher trainings to help them be better at sales, better at teaching them better dance techniques so they can teach their students. Like there needs to be this like family, there were things we did in our studio. Delegation.
The thing I also think when I was in Kansas City for Mr. Chapman, I put out ads at that time for teachers because I know I can train teachers if they have the personality first,
Yes.
if they're engaging, if they like people, if they like socialize. I know I can give them the dance training they need to teach new students, but they have to have that. And so we would put ads in the paper, and it would say, we're looking for dancers with experience. It could be ballet, it could be, a dance team in college. And so because of that school, which was more oriented to a franchise school,
right,
this beautiful girl came to me one day and she said, Michael, I didn't see the ad say you're looking for a salesperson. I saw the ad say you're looking for a dance teacher, which I would love to be, but I'm getting more training in sales than I am in dancing. And it just clicked in my head. And I thought, that's absolutely right. Why does a dancer need to be a salesman and vice versa? Some like it. Some want to do it.
Right.
But you need to have
that needs to be available to them, but most of the time.
Yeah, they don't need to have that. As long as they teach their lessons and engage with their students and create an environment, you need someone there to do my part.
Yeah.
And that's not them. That's not what they were trained for. That's what I was. So don't let everything on them. Don't put so much on their back.
It's a lot of pressure. Yeah.
It's a lot of pressure, and they don't like it, or they're not used to it. Or
Totally.
If someone doesn't buy, then they take it personally because they've had that student they're teaching.
Right.
Yeah, there's a lot of different levels of that. So I try to engage with the owners that, look, you're going to have to do certain parts here. It's not all coming from the teacher. They're great dancers, but you've got to become someone that can answer an information call, that can book that call, that can be in the front desk to greet these new people, that to introduce them to their teacher, et cetera, et cetera. So they know now that just because they're a fancy dancer, that they've got a lot of parts now.
Right, there's a lot of hats to wear
that they never had before. And so I think that is the biggest thing you have to do when starting a competitive business and engaging in a hybrid business. I look at how they were trained in Europe. Most of them are European, and they were trained like, do this, do that, now turn around.
Militants.
So they try to teach that way because it's all they know. So now I have to take them and show them how we do it and how comfortable.
Right. The concierge of it all.
Yeah. It's not the inside edge of the ball of the foot goes somewhere.
That's it. Exactly.
And then they don't mind it, but they don't have the training in order to do that. They think that they should teach the way they were taught.
Right.
But
and that brings on a good point. What you're bringing to this is, I love that you just said that, because that just hit a light bulb with me as well, as all of these teachers wanting, or these professionals wanting to own a studio, and a business is first and foremost customer service, luxury, concierge, that kind of thing. And a lot of people, they don't serve in that way. They're like, well, I'm a great dancer, and they're going to come because I'm a name and I'm a dancer. And it's like, no, but if you don't treat people with the desire that you want them there, or that you make them feel important, because everybody wants to feel important, then they're not going to come back. So
they can go down the street for that, because there's always a new dancer on the circuit, right? And when you're wonderful and great and you've won all these competitions, by the time you're 40, there's a 22-year-old down the street that's going to take your students. So you've got to figure out how to engage your school into becoming a hybrid school, whereas if a student does that, it's not such a big deal. Whereas if that's all you have, it's a really big deal, because that was part of your income. You just lost this student. So social students, they're like easy breezy. They come to the parties, they laugh at themselves. They're like, I'll never get that salsa stuff. I try, Michael. And then we laugh about it. And I'm on, look around, nobody else does it that well either. And we just laugh at the parties, and they feel comfortable, and they
that's it. You want to make,
reach that. They don't want to reach that level. And that this was 20 years ago, 95% of our dancers in the United States are social dancers. 95%. That was a statistic. Wow. So you are ignoring 95% of our business in order to keep 5%.
Right.
It's not going to work.
It's not, yeah. The math isn't mathing. Yeah.
It's a math thing. They're not going to be able to do it.
Totally.
It's impossible. So dwell on the other part, make that successful, and then your 5% do what you want to with it. And when you leave and go into a competition, you're not going, oh dear, how am I going to pay the rent in the first? I'm going to have to use the money I danced
just made. Right. Absolutely.
Rent, right.
Absolutely. Yeah. So to switch gears a little bit, but not really, it's still parallel. You sent me a quote the other day by our wonderful Oprah we love. It says, you don't become what you want, you become what you believe. So you and I have these conversations a lot about manifestation. You know, we've discussed so many different aspects of achieving life goals and getting what you want and all of these things. And I want to hit, because I know you have some points as well that you want to touch on, but I want to transition seamlessly into it. How important is it for you to have a vision when you're opening up a dance studio for what you want to achieve and manifest the kind of energy, the kind of community environment that you're creating? How important is that?
Oh my gosh. Well, it all comes from a thought you have in your head. And a lot of people have that, but they don't proceed with it. I wish I had a dime for everyone that came to me in 40 years and told me they want to own a school. Yeah. So they want to own a school. However, that's all right. However, but
you're like, take a number.
Yeah. Or it's like, you have to realize the procedure. You have to have dedication. You have to manifest this and believe 100% in yourself and how you're going to contribute to a successful business. You have to do your background and find out what's the best place for me to have. There's so much that goes into owning a school rather than I just like to have a dance school. So I would like to win the lottery, but that's a chance. Right. But me wanting to build and own a school, I can see that as something I can do. That's reality if I do the right things. And that's what I love that quote for, because there's two ways you can look at it. You can either want it or you're going to spend your time dedicated to it. And it's not going to be easy, but you're going to keep going. You're not going to stop. You're going to feed yourself positive thoughts. Your subconscious becomes your computer. So if you keep telling yourself, I can't, and I don't know if I can, and should I, and I don't have any self-worth, and blah, blah, blah. That's what your computer's going to tell you. And when it tells you that, it's not going to work. So you need to feed yourself every day with this kind of stuff. You need to believe in yourself 100%. You need to have follow through. You need to do your homework. You need to find out what the possibility is to have a school, where it should be, how much space you need. You need to go to the commercial realtor and figure it out. There's so much to do. However, if you will do that, and you continue to do it, even when you feel you can't, even when you're turned down 3 times that you thought this was the ideal building, and now they put something else in there that can pay more, don't give up. Always follow this dream. Always manifest it, and you will end up where you're supposed to be. I totally believe in the universe.
I do too. And there's a concept here of like you said, I love what we say, becomes our reality. And so like being that our brain is kind of like the mental computer of ourselves, the wanting, right? Constantly saying that you want something means that you don't have it, that it's always just out of reach.
I want to look better. I want my hair to look different.
That's right.
A new pair of Nike tennis shoes.
But believing that you already are, and that that's who you are. Like, I'm already a dancer. I already am a studio owner. I'm already creating this energy. I'm bringing this energy to whoever wants to listen to me. And that will slowly become, like you said, from the parties, from 10 people to 60 people to 160 people.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And it just spreads like wildfire.
It does.
When you change that concept of wanting to believing that you already are there.
Totally. And you have to start.
You're living in that reality.
Yeah, you have to. It's so hard for us because all of us face rejection, low self-esteem, not pretty enough, not a better dancer compared to someone else. You know, we all face that. We're not going through it by ourselves. However, if we don't work on ourselves and figure out what our self-worth is, and we have the confidence that we can do this, we'll never get to the other side of that door. We will stay where we are because it's self-doubt. And I do this in my seminars, and I said, there's a door there and you need to open it up. And it's fear. It's of the unknown. It's you looking at yourself and feeling like, can I really do this?
Yep.
But if you don't go through that door, you'll never know. You'll stay where you are like this forever. And that's what I think I've done better than a lot of people is I don't fear it. I know I can do it. I believe in myself. I have enough experience in my life to be able to continue with it and make it successful. But I have to walk in that door. I have to move from one location to the other and leave my friends and go to another state and start again and do this.
Right.
I have to believe I can do it, and I have to know that I'll be okay. So I put it out to the universe, and it happens. And then when it happens, you're just so happy, and you feel like, my gosh, I did it. That then you get the experience of how you did it, and then you can do it again and again and again.
That's right. And easier to duplicate.
Yeah, that's where I am. Because I don't fear it, and I don't doubt that I can create this. I know this school is in a very affluent area right outside Atlanta. I know the school is beautiful. And I already, after 4 months, know the kind of clientele I'm going to have. There's not any doubt in my mind that I'm not going to be able to do this. None.
Wow.
I have to put the work in. I'm not saying it's easy. I have to train staff. I have to take information calls. I have to talk them into coming in. I have to meet and greet them. I have to do the parties. I have to do the advertisement. I'm looking right now for the next 6 months of what we're doing as far as showcases, parties. I know that that's going to be my workload. However, I do know that I'm capable of doing it. And if I can, I will, a year from now, be so happy that I've succeeded that I'll want to do it again.
That's
again, because it's just the feeling you get.
It's addictive. You know?
It's wonderful. It's obsessive a little bit.
Yeah.
But like I said, the other side is this owner the other day says to me, it's really cute. And I said, do you have any questions? He goes, yeah. Will I ever get to the point where I don't have to take this business home again every night? And I said, no, that's never going to happen.
Right.
Trust me.
It's a passion deep down inside.
And you have to, like I wake up at 3 a.m. Of course, I'm a little obsessive, but I wake up at 3 a.m. with the best thoughts. Well, rather than remember them, I get my little iPhone out and I'm putting them all down.
That's right.
I go back to sleep, but the next day I have my really clear thoughts that I can continue with, or the student I was thinking about, or how I changed this party in 2 weeks, and the DJ, is he working out? Should he do the group class too? Because he's really vocal and he's got a great personality. I should make him do the group class because everybody knows him and they like, all this stuff.
That's it. It's the littlest things that make the biggest difference.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And
you had a couple of notes you were talking to me about earlier in regards to manifestation and kind of energy and all of that stuff. There's something you want to touch on. Yeah,
there's things like I manifest it. That's the only way I've been able to be successful. I have to do confirmations daily because I doubt myself still at my age. And
we all do. It's natural.
We all do. We all suffered rejection. I mean, get over it. So I confirm daily what I'm doing, what I'm capable of doing, the love I have for it, how it's going to continue, and how I love doing it. You need to feed that to your subconscious. I'm sorry, but that's your computer, and it's just going to spit back everything that you've told it. I got this thing that there were 60,000 thoughts every day that all of us have. Thoughts determine your reality.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever you're putting in that subconscious, it's coming back. So
be careful what you consume.
Yeah. And believing in yourself, you need a motivation, you need a drive. Sometimes it's not working. Sometimes you have to rethink it. Sometimes the fire department comes in and said, I know you thought you could get 130 people in this space, but I'm only going to give you 95. And now you have to figure out what to do with the party business. You need dedication. You have to be dedicated to it. It's not a 9-to-5 job.
No.
Dancing is not. It is the most, I would say, pleasant business, success and happy, and the people and the students love you, and you're getting all this energy back. I don't know from any other business you receive that. It's just delightful. And then what I do is I believe there, and through my life and my career, I believe there's a higher presence. Whether you believe it or not, that's my belief. And I believe if I put it out there and stop trying to control my life so much and use the power of the universe to take me where I should be, I end up in better places and I end up much happier than me thinking, okay, this and this and this. So those are the keys I give you, trusting yourself.
Have you always thought this way, Michael, about the higher power in the universe and what you put out comes back?
Yeah, I have. And it's not religion as much as it is that I feel that presence. I know it's there. I truly have had experiences knowing it's there, which gives me
validation
of it, and I use it, and it's wonderful. And I don't preach it, or this is something inside me that I love and care about, and that I'm read, and I'm using it for the good. And also, the other thing about students, especially social dancers, I gave this seminar one time at one of the competitions. If someone comes in and they say they want to learn the salsa or the foxtrot or the waltz or whatever, I asked 10 teachers what they were asking for. And 9 of them said, well, they want to go out, that salsa, there's a lot of clubs, blah, blah, blah. One said, I think they're needing something in their life. And I was like, bingo. Everyone can learn to social dance enough to go to a salsa club. In what, 2 weeks? They only need 2 or 3 patterns. Why are they there for 5 years? Why do they continue with us for 5 years when what they came for, we can give them in a period of 2 or 3 weeks? It's because we develop a rapport and a relationship.
Well, they're because they were actually looking for community.
They were looking for a lot of things. And once we find that, then it's so easy to keep them, because we're giving them what exactly they really came for. And it had nothing to do with the salsa. It was just the means to get them in here. Well, I think I can do salsa. So that to me is so important in teaching teachers. You need to really listen and find out why that student is here.
Yeah. What's their why? What makes them tick?
Exactly. And once you give them that, it's 5 years, not five lessons.
Right.
So that's a big lesson I've taken with myself. Love the students. They all love you. They give you so much back. When I walk in here, I might not be having a good morning for some reason. And I walk in here and all I feel is love, because I see those people, the best of their day. They come here, their problems are left aside like cabaret. They're enjoying, they're dancing, the music, us. They give me more than I can give them. And I always leave happier. So
I always tell people you can't be sad when you're dancing. It's just not possible.
They tell you that. No, they
whether you're dancing a step that you've been taught, that you're a professional, or you're just grooving to your own beat. You just cannot be sad when you're dancing.
Well, we weren't, were we? I started out in high school dancing, just dancing.
Just bopping around.
College, started taking ballroom dancing, and my mother was always like, well, you could have used that education and taught school in Missouri and had a fine retirement. Well, I don't know any teacher that has a fine retirement, A.
I was just going to say.
And B, I couldn't think of anything I loved more than dancing. It was always my passion in high school and college and continuing in my life. I love music. I was a drum major in the marching band in college, so I'm very adapted to music. And I love to dance. You release all of this endorphin and this stuff inside you, which makes you happy.
Agreed.
Yeah, how can you not be happy doing that? So that has turned into a 40-year career. And believe me, that teaching career, I would probably quit 20 years ago. So follow your passion. Know that the universe has something for you. I didn't go to college to study ballroom dancing. I went to study education, but my grades sucked my first year because I'm a little party boy, to be known. And my dad said, you better pick these grades up, son. So I thought, well, I can dance. That first ballroom class turned into 4 years of ballroom class, turned into a 40-year career. And when I went to college, it was the last thing I ever thought I'd do in my life. So trust the universe.
You never know. Trust the universe.
It'll take you in the right direction.
Yeah. I don't really know where we can go from there, Michael.
Yeah, I think
trust the universe is really the overall lesson.
Praise be, as they say in the South.
So good. So good. For those of you watching, and if you're inspired by what we've been discussing, if you would like to know more about what Michael does and how maybe you can be involved or how he can help you or your school, we have the links all in the show notes. You can go to dancewellnesscommunity.com. He has his profile. You can set up a consultation with him and sign up for our monthly newsletter. Michael's going to be the featured practitioner in August. We're very excited. And just go on the website, dancewellnesscommunity.com. You can put in your email, sign up on our mailing list, and you'll get our monthly newsletter, which has all the goodies and member discounts and all the fun things in it, including more information on our practitioners. Michael, you're just, I could talk to you for hours, first of all.
We have.
And
let me say one last thing. You approached me with this, and we've known each other for many years. Yes. Your dad and I worked together in Kansas City. And so I've seen you grow up, and you're so articulate, and you really get it, and you're very personal, and you care about what you're doing, and you're always reinventing yourself, which I love. And so it's been a pleasure, not just to work with you, but as a friend. Yes. And I think what you're doing in this wellness thing, and I've shown it to people, and everybody's like, wow, why didn't we think of this? You know, this is really, seriously. I've had students, I've had teachers that have been wowed about it. And it's a privilege for me to work with you once again. Thank you
so much. Oh, that means the world. It really does. I mean, like attracts like, again, energy. Yeah. And you and I have always been, attracted to working together and doing, and we have a very similar value system. And so I really appreciate that. And like you said, I'm excited to bring this to our community because I'm shocked it hasn't been done yet. I'm like, if I would have had this when I was younger, maybe I wouldn't have burned out when I was competing.
I know, me as well. I know. And it's a concept that no one has not only thought about, but actually proceeded in it. And you created it, and it's much needed. I think, in our business, because you have different people there that are experts in what they do that we need in our business. And you've combined it into this wellness, and it is wellness, and it's teaching. And
because wellness is not just physical. I think that's the thing. Or a lot of times now the conversation has become mental wellness, like mental health, because that's the big conversation. But my goodness, I mean, financial. I mean, the amount of professionals in this industry that can't afford to keep competing or traveling the world and spend $40,000 a year just on themselves to try to do this and maintain this level of status. And then what you do is, the schools that are shutting down because of various reasons, because they can't sustain, we only have enough money to stay open for another month, and we don't know how to generate more business, and blah, blah, blah. There's so many aspects of this business that entails wellness, that I really wanted to have this diversity. And that's why I'm so appreciative of what you do, is because it's not a physical or a mental wellness. It's a financial side, and it's specifically our dance schools, which is where everything stems from in our industry. And I think what you do is so unique that it needs to be shared and
well, I want them to I want them to feel what I felt in this business, which is total love and gratitude. And if I can go in a school and I can change it around, like you said, because schools don't come to me and go, everything's wonderful and fabulous, so glad you're here.
Come on
I get the ones that are like, we need help.
Yeah, and we're desperate, we're closing. Yeah.
They will have a future that they're not going to have. And that makes me so happy.
Oh, you're changing lives. Yeah.
I can change lives for the best, and they can stay in the dance business, and they can continue and love it like we do. And the universe is accepting whatever they're getting in a loving way. And we'll be happy. We'll be in our happy place. That's where
I love that. My happy place is definitely somewhere dancing.
Oh,
always dancing. I love it.
I know.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Michael. And like I said to everyone else, hope you got value out of this. We're very excited to continue sharing the dance wellness community with everyone.
And I can do, Christine, I can do Zoom meetings. I don't need to actually go to the schools unless they want me to, which Wonderful. I do for a couple of days, and I kind of go over the whole feel of the school. But I can also do Zoom meetings. I'm doing one school in Washington, D.C. I have Zoom with them every week, and it's just like being there.
Wonderful.
So it's wonderful.
And that expands your reach as well, because, your time is limited. Exactly. Yeah, very cool. I love that. Well, there you go, everyone.
All right.
No excuses anymore.
Peace,
all right.
everyone.
Secret is out and wow.